Hello everyone, and welcome to the Microsoft Excel Skills for Farmers online course brought to you by Local Land Services and provided by AgriFocused. This is the recording from the first lesson, and we'll take you through slowly what we went through in the webinar, giving you an opportunity to pause, enter your own data, and if things have moved a little bit too quickly or you want to reinforce your learning in a particular area, you can rewind and play it again. So we'll get started. And we start off on a new, fresh spreadsheet. The first thing we want to do is put our title in. We can now enter the months of the year in our rainfall chart. Now, Excel has a great function where it can predict what it thinks we're going to type in subsequent cells. We select these first 3 months of the year by holding down our left mouse button, watching for the large white cross to appear and dragging across, and then hovering down the bottom right hand corner and looking for this little black cross. When we drag it across, we can see those months popping up. And we want to drag it out until we see December. If we keep dragging, it starts the sequence again. And that might be useful for a future spreadsheet, but not for this one. So across to December. Down this left-hand side, we want to put the months the days of the month. And again, we select this by holding down our left mouse button, taking the left mouse button off, coming down to the black square, hovering over that, pressing down our mouse button again, and dragging that down to 31. We can change some of our formatting, going up to our heading, to the home area, changing it to bold, changing the font size. Now 10, 11 and 12 are standard sort of print that you would see on a document. So for a heading you're probably looking at something around about 20 or 22. We can make our row headings darker as well. We can select the whole row here and press bold. And again here, the whole row down here, and press bold. The benefit of that being that any time we type in this row now, everything will be bold. Whereas these rows, everything is not. And that's looking great there. We scroll down and we put total, so we can add our total for the year. Because we want to add additional years into this spreadsheet, we're just going to put total 2010, or whichever year you choose to start working on. Now our next step is to enter some data. I'm just going to type some random figures here, but you might like to pause the video recording and enter in your own data for the year. Now don't enter the totals, just enter the days of the month and the rainfall as you go. Okay, starting back up again, we've got our data in here. We've noticed a bit of a problem as we've scrolled down. It's difficult to see what month of the year we're working on as we go down here. Now we can fix this with an Excel function called freeze cells. We scroll to the top, we put our cursor on cell A3, we go across to view, and we look at this area here called freeze panes. And we select to freeze panes. This freezes everything above and to the left of where our cursor was. And now we can scroll down to the bottom and into the last bit of data for the month without having to scroll backwards and forwards to see where we were. Sorry, I should have told you that before you did your data entry, but you'll remember more now. The other thing we notice is that September's a little bit cut off, as is November and December. The column totals aren't wide enough. We can adjust them by putting our cursor on the intersection of the two rows and stretching that out. We can do those for all the wide months. If you want your work to be beautifully presented, you would look to maintain consistency across the spreadsheet. So what we try and do is make the column sizes for the same type of data exactly the same, regardless of the difference in width between the months. So to do that, we scroll and select the entire rows, and then we can adjust it, all the row widths at the same time, to something that suits all of them. Now we've got our total column here, and we could just copy this from our rainfall chart, but Excel not only has data saving functions to format and display data, it also has powerful analysis and calculators built into every cell. So we can type a formula in here to add up the rainfall for the 30 or 31 days of the month and give us a total here. So to do that, we go up to formulas, we choose auto sum, and we look at these marching ants and we drag them up to the top of the month. What this formula does, if we click back on the cell again, we'll look at it closely. It says equal sum B3 to B33. What it's doing is adding up. The first thing, the equal sign, tells Excel we're going to put a formula in. The next bit of written text is the actual formula, and there are many that you can choose from. Let's see here, a lot of the ones would be unfamiliar and some familiar from scientific calculators back in Year 9 at school. The formula, and then the area of which you want the formula to apply. So here we see it's the sum of that area. We can use the trace precedence function. So we go where we have our answer, trace precedence, and it shows us that that formula is looking at all of those cells there. Let's do the same thing again. Auto sum, scrolling these up here and pressing enter. And again, auto sum. Ooh, see now it's going left and right. It's trying to add the two totals for January and February together. We want to redirect it. If we only went to here, this formula would be incorrect. It's missed the area for March. So that's why we want to make sure that we scroll up the whole way. Also, if there were nothing entered in there, you initially enter this formula, it's up to the 12th of the month and you think that's correct. But later on you go back and you check, or you type some more data into the spreadsheet and you realise you missed 10 mils at the beginning of March, and that hasn't updated like it would with the formula correctly spanning the entire range. So we make sure that goes up to the top. Again, that's a bit tedious, and we can use the same function that we did at the beginning over here with the months to actually drag that formula out across to December. And it's replicated all the way through there. We can improve the appearance by again selecting that text, going up to home going up to bold, and also selecting here top and bottom border. Now the positions of these icons might be slightly different on your version of Excel, or if you've got a Mac computer, slightly different, but they will be there if you have a bit of a look around for them. And that's looking great. The other thing we'd like to do is create a total here for the year. We can use the same sum function again, going to formulas, going to auto sum, making sure that's adding up the correct row there, and entering that information in, and just experimenting to see how everything then updates as we want it to. We're going to replicate that for another month, and then we're going to come back in the second video and the third video and look at analysing the data and also making a chart. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. Scrolling down to 31. Typing our heading. 2011, which is our next year. Putting in our formulas. Populating that with our rainfall data. That was a big drop in April. And then totaling that auto sum across there. So you might want to continue now, entering your own data in, entering in for another couple of years there as you go down, and then we'll do the second and the third video in this first week of Excel for Farmers. Thank you.